The auction room was dark and cold. Aliens from every corner of the galaxy sat in silence, watching the stage. Bright lights focused on a strange glass coffin at the center. Inside the coffin was a woman. Frozen, eyes closed, body perfectly still. The auctioneer, a tall insect-like creature, tapped the mic. "This relic," he hissed, "is over 300 years old, preserved in cryochamber." Believed to be human, gasps filled the room. Humans were almost extinct now. Only a few remained across the stars. A masked man sat in the back row, arms crossed. He wore a long black coat and had no visible weapons, but his presence was heavy. Like someone hiding a storm, the bidding started. 2 million credits. 3 million, 4. The masked man raised one finger. 10 million, he said softly. Silence. No one dared to challenge him. The auctioneer slammed his hammer, sold within minutes. The man had the coffin loaded onto his private ship. The ship, an old freighter, lifted off from the asteroid. Stationed and vanished into hyperspace, inside the medical bay of his ship. He stood beside the glass coffin. He placed a small key into the control panel. The lights blinked, the system hummed, and warm vapor filled the chamber. Slowly, the woman's eyes opened. She gasped, coughing hard. Her body shaking as the cold left her. Her skin was pale, but her eyes were sharp. She looked at the man, scanned his face, then smirked. "Ha ha," she said with a cracked voice. "Restore my throne. And the Snuvva between my legs is all yours." She laughed softly, then coughed again. The man didn't react. He watched her calmly, then replied, "I didn't wake you up for jokes." She leaned back against the chamber wall. Closing her eyes, "You're not one of them," she said. "You're human." The man didn't answer. She opened her eyes again, studying him more carefully. "You hide it well," she whispered, "but I see it in your eyes." He turned away and started walking. "Rest. We're heading to the edge of Titan 9, he said. "Why there?" she asked. To get answers, hours passed. The woman sat in a medical chair, sipping warm liquid, her hands still shaky. "My name is Arya," she said suddenly. "Princess Arya of House Thalor, ruler of the last human empire." The man looked at her from the pilot seat. "I'm Kale," he replied. "Just a scavenger." She smiled. "No scavenger pays 10 million credits to save a frozen stranger." Kale didn't respond. He focused on the controls, but his hands were tight. On the wheel, Arya stared out the window, watching the stars fly by. "They said my people were gone," she whispered. "They tried to erase us, but we left pieces of ourselves everywhere." Kale looked back at her. "You were a myth," he said. "You were supposed to be dead." She smirked again. "Yeah, I heard that one before, but I had a secret weapon," she added, tapping her chest. The Snuvva Kale raised an eyebrow. "What is it?" Arya leaned closer, her voice low. "It's not what you think," she said. "It's ancient biotech, passed through the bloodline. Part AI, part living code. It can control the old systems, unlock weapons, ships, cities, even planets." Kale sat quietly, trying to process it. Why joke about it then? She laughed again, "Because humor is power," she said. "When you're hunted, betrayed, and frozen for centuries, you learn to laugh at the universe." Kale's ship exited hyperspace before them. A broken moon circled a dead planet. Old space junk floated around like silent ghosts. "This was once a Thaler stronghold," Arya said. Before they burned it, Kale activated the landing gears. "What do you expect to find here?" Arya stood up slowly, her strength returning. "Not what?" she said. "Who?" Kale looked at her, confused. She gave him a cold smile. "An old friend." As the ship descended, the screen flickered. A warning appeared. "Unidentified signal. Detected threat level, high." Kale tensed. "Looks like someone was expecting us." Arya's eyes gleamed. "Good," she said. "Let them come." The ship disappeared into the dust clouds of the broken moon, and the hunt for the throne began. The ship landed with a soft shake on the broken moon. Outside, the sky was dark red, filled with floating debris and old satellites. Kale checked the scanners, looking for signs of life. Only static came back, but something didn't feel right. Arya stood near the door, now wearing a slim, armored suit from the storage room. She moved with more energy, as if her body was remembering who she was. Her eyes scanned the surface below like a queen returning to a ruined palace. "This moon was once called Elvira," she said. "It had temples, vaults, and living cities under the ground." Kale looked surprised. "There's nothing left now," he said. Arya smiled bitterly. "Because they turned it into ash," she said. "But what they didn't destroy is still calling." She pointed to a glowing mark on her wrist. It was faint, pulsing with soft blue light. "The Snuvva inside me," she explained. "It's connecting to the old systems." Kale raised his weapon and opened the ramp. "Let's move before someone connects to us." They stepped out into the dust, their boots pressing down on soft gray soil. Ruins of broken towers stood like skeletons in the distance. A cracked statue lay half buried nearby. The face was still clear. It was Arya's. Kale stared at it. "You were really worshipped," he said. "I was more than that," she replied. "I was feared." As they walked, Arya touched parts of the ruined walls. Every time she touched something, lights flickered for a moment, old systems reacting to her presence. "Why did they want to kill you?" Kale asked. Arya stopped, looking at a broken arch. "Because I could unite humans," she said, "and they were afraid of what we could become." They entered a deep hallway, half buried under rock. The path led to a round chamber filled with strange symbols in the center. A large stone platform glowed as Arya stepped closer. "It's still alive," she whispered. Kale looked around, his weapon ready. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed behind them. A machine powering up. A hidden door opened from the floor. A floating sphere rose, covered in armor, its eyes glowing red. Unregistered life form detected. It said, "Identify." Arya stepped forward, placing her hand on her chest. "Arya Thaler. Blood code 117X, she said clearly. The sphere paused, scanned her face, then lowered itself. "Welcome." "Weapon of the throne," it replied. Kale blinked in surprise. "Did it just call you a weapon?" Arya turned to him slowly. "I wasn't just a princess," she said. "I was designed." She walked to the platform and placed her hand on it. A map appeared in the air. Star systems, hidden stations, lost vaults. The platform lit up fully. "Sending out a pulse through the moon, they used my body as a key," she said. "My DNA unlocks tech made thousands of years ago. Snuvva isn't just biotech," she added. "It's living code passed only through royal blood." Kale looked at the map, then at her. "So you're the last piece of the empire," he said. She nodded. "And I need you," she replied. Before Kale could respond, the room shook violently. The sphere spun quickly. "Warning, incoming ship detected," it said. "Hostile signature bounty class." Kale swore. "They tracked us." He grabbed Arya's hand, and they ran back through the corridor. Outside, a sleek black hunter ship was landing fast. Doors opened and armored bounty hunters rushed out. Weapons ready, Kale fired first, taking down 2 attackers. Arya ducked behind broken metal. But then something strange happened. Her body glowed, just for a second. And a blast of force pushed back 3 hunters. Kale stared. "You can fight." "I told you," she said, breathing hard. "I'm a weapon." More enemies rushed forward, their helmets glowing red. Kale threw a grenade and pulled Arya toward the ship. Bullets and lasers hit the sides, but the ramp closed just in time. Inside, The engines roared, and the ship lifted off. Kale piloted quickly, flying through the broken sky behind them. The hunter ship exploded in flames. Arya sat down, her hand shaking slightly. "Every time I use it, the Snuvva grows stronger," she said. Kale looked at her with new eyes. "You're not just a key to the past," he said. "You're the most dangerous thing in the galaxy," she smiled weakly. "And I haven't even started yet." Outside, the moon shrank behind them. But the pulse Arya had triggered was already moving through space. It was a call, and someone out there had heard it. The stars outside the window looked peaceful, but inside the ship, the air was heavy. Kale flew in silence, his eyes fixed on the screen. The signal Arya had activated was spreading fast, across old human satellites, deep vaults, and forgotten systems. The code was waking up. Arya sat in the corner, wrapping bandages around her arm. She had used the Snuvva again, and it had drained her energy. Kale noticed the marks glowing faintly under her skin, lines like circuits. "Alive, you shouldn't use it too much," he said. Arya looked up and smiled. "Too late for that advice," she replied. "It's part of me now." Kale leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "Whatever signal you sent out, it didn't go unnoticed," he said. "There are bounty hunters, trackers, and worse out there." Arya nodded slowly. "They fear what I could become," she said. "They always did." Suddenly, the ship's alarm beeped. Kale moved to the screen. A transmission was coming through, encrypted, old human code. He looked at Arya, surprised. "This signal. It's only used by Thaler agents," he said. "Could it be one of yours?" Arya stood up fast, her eyes wide. "Patch it through," she said. A crackling voice filled the room. "Arya Thaler," it said, "if you are alive, come to thee." Broken spire, I waited, and I remember. Then the signal cut. Kale frowned. "Is it a trap?" Arya stared at the screen for a moment. "No," she said. "It's her." "Who?" "Meleys," Arya whispered. "My bodyguard. My shadow. She was programmed to protect me, even after death." Kale adjusted the course. "The broken spire is on Iran V," he said. "It's not far." But something was already watching them in the shadow of a dying comet. A black ship followed silently. Its captain, a tall alien with silver eyes, smiled coldly. "Activate the ghost trackers," he said. "Let them run. We'll catch them when the girl is weak." Back on Kale's ship, they entered the orbit of Iran V. The planet was half desert, half ruins. Once a great research world of humans, now just dust and danger. Kale landed the ship near a collapsed tower. The air was hot and dry, the sky full of burning clouds. "This place stinks," Kale said. Arya smiled faintly. "It used to be beautiful," she said. Before they turned it into a graveyard, they moved carefully through the ruins, weapons ready, every step echoed. And the silence felt heavy. They entered a broken hallway, half covered in sand and cracked stone. Suddenly, a sound, a whisper, then movement. Kale turned fast. But Arya raised her hand. "She's here," Arya said, from the shadows. A tall figure stepped out. Her body was armored, her face covered with a half-mask, but her voice was calm, strong, familiar. "Arya," she said. "You woke up." Arya ran to her and hugged her. "Meleys," she said, "you survived." The woman gently pulled away and looked at Kale. "And who is this?" she asked. "Just a scavenger who paid 10 million credits to wake me up." Arya replied, smiling. Meleys looked serious. "The enemy has changed," she said. "They have spies everywhere." Kale narrowed his eyes. "Like who?" Meleys walked over to a dusty screen and powered it on. A face appeared. The current emperor of the inner systems, a man named Sarek, alien-blooded. Wearing the crown that once belonged to Arya's family. "He's using your tech," Kale said. "Worse." Meleys added, He's trying to merge with the Snuvva code. He wants to become the throne. Arya's face darkened. I won't let him, she said. I'll burn down every system he controls. But at that moment, the walls shook. An explosion hit the tower above. Dust fell. And Meleys pulled them both to cover. They found us, she said. Ghost. Trackers. Arya grabbed her gun. Kale activated his wrist shield. Shadows moved outside the windows, fast, silent, deadly. We need to get back to the ship, Kale said. There's no time. Meleys replied, there's another way. She pushed a hidden panel. And a platform rose from the floor. A jump gate, she said. Leads to a vault, still loyal to House Thaler. Arya looked at her. Will you come with us? Melee smiled for the first time. I never stopped guarding you, she said. As the ghost trackers broke through the ceiling, the three of them vanished into the light. But the war had just begun. And enemies were everywhere, hiding in every shadow. The jump gate opened with a flash of blue light. Arya, Kale, and Meleys stepped out onto a metal platform inside a massive underground vault. The air was clean, the walls glowing with soft lights. Old human tech still worked here, untouched. For hundreds of years, this place is perfect, Kale whispered. It was built for royalty, Melee said. A hidden chamber for dark times. Arya looked around, feeling a strange energy in the room. Her wrist began to glow again. The Snuvva reacting to the vault. A door opened ahead, revealing a control room full of ancient computers. Meleys moved quickly to the center panel. She placed her hand on a scanner, and the lights turned green. The system still recognizes my code, she said, but only Arya can. Unlock the main command. Arya stepped forward and touched the main console. It lit up, and a hologram of the galaxy appeared. Red zones blinked across several systems, controlled by the false Emperor Sarek. One zone in particular was pulsing bright red. That's the Imperial Throne, Melee said. The core seat of the Empire. Kale looked at it, confused. I thought it was destroyed. Arya's eyes narrowed. That's what they told the galaxy, she said. But the throne was never empty. Meleys nodded. Sarek took it. She said, 10 years after your fall, he declared himself emperor. But how? Arya asked. No one could access the throne tech without royal blood. Kale stepped closer to the console. I think I know, he said. He pulled a small chip from his belt and plugged it into the system. The screen showed files, experiments. Failed clones, test subjects. One file showed a young boy with glowing eyes. Muscles enhanced, the label said, Project Echo, based on Thaler genetic pattern. Subject 47. Arya stared at the screen, then looked at Kale. You were part of this? Kale nodded slowly. I was raised in a lab, he said. They told me I was human, but different. Meleys looked shocked. They used Arya's family blood to build soldiers. She said. Kale looked away. I escaped before they could finish their plans. Arya walked to him and gently touched his shoulder. Then you're not just a scavenger, she said. You're my family. The room fell silent for a moment. Then Meleys turned to the console, her voice sharp again. We don't have time for memories, she said. Sarek knows Arya is awake. Is he powerful? Kale asked. Meleys nodded. He has a massive army, she said. But worse than that, he's merging with the throne. What does that mean? Arya asked. It means he's using the throne's AI system to become more than just a ruler. Meleys replied, he wants to be godlike. Kale clenched his fists. Then we stop him, he said. Arya smiled. I like your style, she said. Meleys activated another panel. A secret chamber opened behind them. Inside were weapons, armor, and a small silver cube. Arya picked up the cube and closed her eyes. The cube opened, revealing a floating crown made of light and code. The real crown, Arya said. The throne listens only to this. Kale and Meleys watched as the crown dissolved into Arya's skin. Her body glowed, her eyes brighter, stronger. She stood taller now, more sure, more royal. "Let's pay Sarek a visit," she said. Suddenly, alarms rang across the vault, red lights flashed, and the system voice said, "Intruders detected, Kale." Grabbed his weapon, "They're here." Melis pulled out 2 blades from her back. "We fight." Dozens of drones broke through the ceiling, flying fast, shooting beams of light. Kale fired back, hitting 3. Arya raised her hand, and a wave of force pushed 10 drones into the wall, smashing them. The Snuvva inside her pulsed stronger, more alive than ever. "She's changing," Melis said quietly. "She's becoming the real heir." They cleared the room. Leaving broken drones everywhere, the vault sealed itself again, buying them time. Kale looked at Arya, breathing hard. "Still want your throne?" he asked, half smiling. She smirked. More than ever, they stood together. The last of the Thaler bloodline, and now they were ready to take back what was stolen. The stolen ship moved through dark space like a ghost. Its signal was hidden, its engines silent. Inside, Arya sat near the window, her eyes fixed on the stars. She was stronger now, but her thoughts were heavy. She could feel the Snuvva growing. Inside her, it whispered sometimes, not with words, but feelings. Kale walked in holding a hot drink. "You okay?" he asked. Arya nodded slowly. "I'm just thinking," she said, "about the past, the throne, and what happens next." Kale sat beside her. "You were born to lead," he said, "but even a queen needs someone to fight beside her." She smiled a little. "I'm glad you're with me," she said, in another part of the ship. Melis was sharpening her blades. Her face was calm, but her hands were shaking slightly. She looked at a small chip in her palm, hidden, blinking red. A voice whispered in her earpiece. "Time is almost up," it said. "Deliver the target, or you're dead too." Melis closed her eyes. She had made a deal long ago, when she thought Arya was truly gone. Now she was trapped between duty and survival. The ship approached a large space station floating near a red dwarf star. It looked dead, but lights flickered deep inside. Kale frowned at the screen. "Why are we stopping here?" Melis answered. "There's someone I need to meet," she said. "A contact with information on Sarek's throne defenses." Arya nodded. "Let's be quick," she said. "We can't afford delays." They landed in a small docking bay and walked through dusty halls. Old human banners still hung on the walls. Faded and torn, it smelled like rust and secrets. They entered a large room with old control panels. No one was there, only silence. Then the doors closed behind them, heavy. Locks slammed shut. Kale turned fast, gun raised. "What is this?" Melis stepped forward, her hand raised in peace. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "I didn't want it to end like this." Suddenly, the walls opened and armored soldiers stepped out. They wore black helmets with red lights, ghost guards of Sarek. Arya stared at Melis. "You betrayed me," she said, her voice flat, cold. Melis couldn't meet her eyes. "They promised me protection," she whispered. "I thought you were dead." "Arya, they made me survive. But at a price." Kale aimed his weapon at her. "You tricked us," he growled. "Led us into a trap." The soldiers raised their weapons, but Arya lifted her hand, and a wave of blue light pushed them back. The Snuvva reacted to her anger, glowing stronger, brighter. She stepped toward Melis. "You were my shadow," she said. "You swore to protect me." Tears formed in Melis's eyes. "I'm still protecting you," she said. "Sarek has something that can kill you." "What is it?" Kale asked. Melis pointed to the center of the room. A tall tube rose from the floor, filled with liquid. Inside floated a body, one that looked just like Arya. Kale stepped back, shocked. "Is that?" "Ach!" Melis said. "A clone. Sarek built it using Arya's stolen DNA. If he merges with it, he'll control all the throne systems." She added, He'll erase the real Arya from history. The soldiers recovered and opened fire. Kale grabbed Arya's arm, pulling her behind cover. Elise joined them, blocking shots with her twin blades. "I'll hold them off," she said. "You to destroy the clone before it's too late," Arya hesitated. "I don't want to lose you." Melis looked at her with a sad smile. "You already did," she said. "But maybe I can still fix what I broke." Kale and Arya ran toward the tube. Lasers flying past their heads, Kale pulled out an EMP grenade and stuck it to the side of the tank ready. He asked. Arya nodded. He triggered it, and the tank exploded in sparks and glass. The clone inside faded, its power link broken. Behind them, Melis fought like fire, taking down soldier after soldier. But one shot hit her side, then another. She fell to her knees, bleeding. Arya rushed back, sliding beside her. Melis looked up, eyes weak. "You still have time?" she whispered. "Take back the throne." Arya held her hand tightly. "I forgive you," she said. Melis smiled one last time, then closed her eyes. Kale put a hand on Arya's shoulder. "She made her choice," he said. Arya stood, her face calm but full of fire. "Then let's make it count." They left the station, leaving behind the smoke, the pain, and the betrayal. The throne was waiting, and now nothing would stop them. The stars outside were silent, but inside, Kale's ship, a storm was building. Arya stood near the center of the control room. Holding Melis's blade in her hands, she had not spoken in hours. But her eyes said everything. Kale sat beside her, typing into the ship's system. "We're almost there," he said. "The throne station is orbiting a dead sun hidden behind a black curtain of satellites." Arya nodded slowly. "Sarek won't give it up without a war," she said. Kale looked up. "Then we'll give him one." The ship jumped through hyperspace as the stars blurred. Kale stared at the glowing lines on his arm. They had appeared during the last fight. "Same as Arya's." He finally spoke. "I think I was made for this, too." Arya turned to him, surprised. "The Project Echo," he continued. "They gave me your family's strength, your DNA, your fire." Arya walked over and placed a hand on his chest. "Then you are not just my ally," she said. "You are my shield." The ship dropped out of hyperspace, and the throne station appeared ahead. It was massive, like a sleeping god in space. Black towers reached out like claws, and lightning flickered across its surface. A Kale flew low, avoiding the red scanners and laser grids, but the system noticed them anyway. Alarms rang out across the throne's orbit. "Here we go," Kale said, gripping the controls. Fighter ships launched from hidden hangars, swarming toward them like insects. Arya jumped into the weapons chair, firing lasers and disabling ships with her mind. The Snuvva inside her linked with the throne systems. They responded to her command. "She's sinking," Kale said in awe. "Keep going." Arya said, sweat on her face. "I can feel the throne." They broke through the enemy defense and crash-landed on a platform. The ship was damaged, but they were alive. Arya stepped out first, followed by Kale, both ready for the final battle. The main gates opened ahead, and Sarek stood waiting. He wore dark armor and a crown made of stolen code. His eyes glowed with unnatural light. "So, the princess returns," Sarek said, his voice deep and cold. "But there's no throne left for you." Arya walked forward, blade in hand. "I'm not here to beg," she said. "I'm here to take back what's mine." Sarek laughed. You're just a piece of the past," he said. "I am the future." Kale stepped beside her. "Then the future ends now." Sarek raised his hand, and giant machines dropped from the ceiling. They looked like metal giants, powered by old human tech. Arya closed her eyes, and the Snuvva surged. Blue light burst from her body, and the machines stopped moving. Kale rushed forward. Fighting Sarek's guards hand to hand, he moved faster than ever before. His own power rising, Sarek ran toward Arya, swinging a glowing sword. Their blades clashed. Metal against energy, sparks flew. But Arya didn't back down. "You think you're strong?" Sarek shouted. "I have all your power and more." "But no soul," Arya replied, "and no right." She pushed him back with a burst of force. Kale joined her side, bruised but still standing. Sarek growled, his armor cracking. "You can't." "Stop me," he said. "I am the throne." "No," Arya said, stepping forward. "I am." She pulled the crown from her chest, now glowing like a star. The throne room reacted instantly. Walls shifted, lights changed. The true code returned to her. Rejecting Sarek like a virus, Sarek screamed as energy wrapped around him, his stolen power burning away. He fell to his knees, eyes fading. "You were supposed to be dead?" he whispered. "I was," Arya said, "but legends rise." With a final pulse of light, Sarek vanished into dust. His armor collapsed empty. The war was over. The throne platform rose from the center of the chamber. Arya stepped onto it, her body calm, her mind sharp. Kale stood back, watching in silence. She placed the crown on her head, and the throne spoke. Thaler blood confirmed. Connection complete, the station lit up with new life. Across the galaxy, lost human stations blinked online. The Empire was rising again. Arya turned to Kale. "Still with me?" she asked. Kale smiled always, and for the first time in centuries, the human throne was no longer empty. The throne room was quiet. The war was over. But the weight of victory still filled the air. Arya stood on the high platform, glowing symbols circling around her body. She looked strong, royal, and calm, like a storm that had finally chosen peace. Kale stood below her, bruised and tired, but smiling. He had fought beside her through every shadow. He had earned not just her trust, but her future. The station floated in silence above the dead sun. But across the galaxy, the signal had already spread. Human colonies that had gone dark for centuries were waking up. Forgotten AI cores, old defense systems, hidden bunkers, all now active. The voice of the throne echoed across space. "All systems aligned," it said. "Empire of humanity. Reboot confirmed." Kale watched as the map of the galaxy lit up. One star after another, he whispered to himself, "It's really happening." Arya stepped down from the platform and stood in front of him. "You helped me get here," she said. "You believed in me even when I had nothing." Kale looked into her eyes. "You weren't nothing," he said. "You were a fire waiting to burn again." She smiled, the first real smile in a long time. "Melees would be proud," she said. Kale nodded. "She died to protect the real you." Suddenly, the throne room doors opened. Two soldiers walked in, dragging a prisoner behind them. His armor was broken, face burned, but his eyes still burned with rage. It was one of Sarek's top warlords. They dropped him to the floor before Arya. He looked up, bleeding but defiant. "You think you've won?" he growled. "More will come." Arya stepped forward, slow and powerful. She didn't need to shout. She just looked at him, and he felt it. "The war is over," she said. "Your master is gone. You were just a symbol." He spat. "A fairy tale." Arya leaned down, "And yet, here I stand," she whispered. "The fairy tale came true." She stood back up and raised one hand. The throne responded, blue light wrapping around the prisoner like vines. He gasped, choking, then dropped his head. "I surrender." He whispered, "I kneel." Kale watched in silence, then slowly clapped his hands. "Not bad, Queen," he said, smiling. Arya turned to him, raising an eyebrow. "Only now you believe I'm royalty." He shrugged. "I believed it the moment you made that bold joke when you woke up," he said. Arya laughed, shaking her head. "Oh, that," she said. "I was half frozen, half crazy. And you were staring like a lost puppy. Kale smirked. Well, it worked. It got me to stay. She stepped closer. Then let me say it properly this time. She looked into his eyes, her voice soft but strong. Restore my throne, she said, and the galaxy and the Snuvva is all yours. Kale chuckled. I'll take the galaxy, he replied. You can keep the Snuvva. They both laughed. The kind of laugh only survivors can have. Behind them, the throne pulsed again, sending out one final command. It was a call, a message to every hidden human outpost. Every survivor, every child born under alien rule. This is Arya Thaler. Her voice set across thousands of systems. Daughter of the lost line, heir to the Empire, and the last flame of Earth. The throne has returned, and it belongs to us again, on distant planets, old humans. Heard her words and looked to the stars, in secret caves. Rebels raised their flags in dark cells. Prisoners whispered her name, and in schools, long forgotten. Children heard the story of the girl who came back from the dead. The legend had begun, but this time, it wasn't about loss. It was about rising again. Arya looked out the giant window, the galaxy shining ahead. She stood tall, strong, unbreakable. The last human throne was no longer a memory. It was the future, and this time, no one would take it away. The end.